My guest on the podcast this time out is AmyJo Doherty. AmyJo is the sister of Peter Doherty, and she fronts her own band, AmyJo Doh and The Spangles. She's based out in Madrid. She spoke all about how the Libertines started out, from her introducing Carol and Peter. And she spoke about her own career, starting out in teaching before moving into the recording industry. AmyJo Doh and The Spangles have 2 albums. The second one was put out on Peter's Strap Originals label. It is criminal that this band aren't bigger. Perfect festival band. So I go and just check them out and give them a listen, and I think you'll be as impressed as I have. I hope you're all enjoying the podcast. Please keep liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing wherever you can. But yeah, more importantly, enjoy. On the podcast today, I've got AmyJo Doherty. AmyJo fronts the Spangles. She also has a famous brother who I've yet to have in the podcast. I've had her nephew on a few weeks ago, Steele. So if you're not aware, her brother is Peter Doherty of the Libertines. We're going to talk about Amy's life growing up, her career, which has taken her to releasing a couple of albums with her band, The Spangles. She's out in Madrid, so we're going to find out all about that. But right back to the start, what was life like for a young AmyJo growing up?
Oh, well, I think very exciting, actually. Hello, by the way. Hi, everybody. Yeah, well, because we were a military family, we changed house, we changed school every 3 years, more or less. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it was always very exciting. We were always very excited to get to a new house. I'm sure as we got a bit older, it was a bit more stressful and emotional because, you know, you make different kinds of friendships as you get older. But looking back on it, I do feel like it was very blessed to have all these different experiences and different. I mean, sometimes it was horrible to always be the new kid in the class, you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel that it was very enriched. I mean, we lived in so many places: Germany a lot, Cyprus, Northern Ireland, Dorset, up near Coventry.
Do you find that then, like that kind of childhood, growing up, moving a bit? Do you find that's helped you as an adult, kind of growing up and being able to make friends easily, or
yeah,
is it vice versa? Is it harder?
No, I think it makes you more, socially adaptable, definitely. And also perhaps it makes you more, or should I say less keen to suddenly go run into everybody to make friends, because it's very interesting when in fact, I was talking to someone about this the other day, like when you're the new kid at school and the teacher says, oh, who wants to show AmyJo round? You know, the only people that would ever really want to show you around were the kids that didn't have any friends. So, you know, I always ended up making friends with probably, first of all, people that no one else wanted to be friends with. And then gradually you start talking to other people, because although it's a bit of a cliche, every year group, every class has got the cool kids, the sporty kids. So it was always very interesting. I felt like you get an insight into all these different social hierarchies, you know, and you realize that actually sometimes the people, the most generous and the biggest hearts, are the one that no one else would bother with at first, you know.
Totally. And also in that aspect, do you think that because you moved about so much, does that kind of cement your relationship with Peter and your other sister? Does that kind of, because you know that you've always got them a bit?
Absolutely, yeah. I think fundamentally, and me and Peter both say the same, we were very, very lucky because there's just 13 months between us. Mm-hmm. So wherever we went, you know, we always had each other and we were very, very good friends. I mean, we always were playing together outside of school, football or games in the house, me with the Cindy dolls and him with his He-Man, and we'd have huge, battles or parties. I remember when we were kids, we were like, oh, won't it be amazing when we don't have to stop playing to go down for tea, or we can just play all day. So
Yeah,
yeah, we were very lucky because we always had a best mate. I mean, my sister's a little bit younger, well, quite a lot younger. She's 8 years younger than me,
right.
and 9 years younger than me, 8 years younger than Peter, I think, or something like that. So for her, it was a whole different experience. And she went to boarding school. We were offered to go to boarding school, like a lot of army kids do, but we never
Uh-huh.
wanted to. And she chose to. So I suppose for her, perhaps it was because of that, because she often said that she felt more like an only child. I mean, I left home when I was 17 to go to university, and she was I can't do the maths, but she was only nine
Yeah,
or 10,
it's
you
yeah,
know.
she'd still be kind of primary school level, wouldn't she? So
Yeah, so it's a different generation, really. I think we're probably a lot closer now than when
mhm.
when we were I was a teenager and she was not.
So
Yeah.
like musically then, like when you were young, what was going on around the house? What sort of kind of music was being played? What sort of influences were you getting shown about?
Oh, well, again, we were very lucky because my mum and dad, although they don't play instruments, they both love music, and records. So we always had vinyls in the house. And my mum's really into her Motown, Barry White, the Jacksons.
Yeah.
And my dad was more into rock and roll. He loved the Small Faces, the Faces, the Kinks, the Beatles. They both loved. I mean, my mum's from Liverpool.
Hmm.
Um, a really rich upbringing musically. Yeah, I mean, and the tapes for the car. I remember, like the other day, I heard a Johnny Hates Jazz song, and it just took me back to being in the car in Cyprus. My dad had these cassettes that he would have for driving, and there was a lot of the Moody Blues, Johnny Hates Jazz, the Pet Shop Boys.
Hmm.
Really, really different stuff. My dad's got a really eclectic mix in music, and he had a massive collection of vinyls that he just sold when they left Germany. Actually,
Right.
loads of bootlegs, loads of great stuff. Yeah.
And obviously, like, you moved away. You went to uni. So what were you doing at uni?
Went to uni down in London,
Hmm.
um, in Twickenham, and actually I always wanted to be a like a sports massage, well, a physiotherapist. But I know I really wanted to go to Loughborough, but I didn't think I'd get the points. In the end, I did. And I wanted to be a physiotherapist, so I studied sports science and history just because I loved it. And then when I went to that university, I got totally put off sport because it was full of rugby players, and the mentality was just not very nice, really. I remember in Freshers Week, they had to close the bar on the sports campus because the rugger buggers had all got drunk, and oh my God, they'd done some terrible things. Like they'd sacrificed a swan from the Thames and hung it
No.
up. Yeah, and they were like, I don't know, something to do with the neighbour's cats. It was just horrendous. So I stuck more to the arts side, um, did history, which I loved, and then ended up. I really did. Then I decided I wanted to travel, and I studied TEFL teaching. I had no idea that I'd end up being, in the music industry really at all.
Yeah. So, how did you meet Carol then? Was he in classes with you, or was it just kind of free time?
No, in the halls of residence. I saw him the first day. In fact, we were on tour recently with the Libertines, and we were talking about them days because we had some great fun. We were in the same halls of residence, and I think we both saved each other. I remember seeing him the very first day and thinking, "Wow, he looks interesting." And I think we chatted. Uh, we became friends like the first couple of days. It was just a really deep connection. And he was obviously a fantastic guitarist. He'd been in bands, and I sang, but I was always really shy. And for some reason, I always felt like I could only ever sing in front of my brother. And then when I met Carl, and we would sit in his room all night drinking whiskey and singing
Mhm.
Beatles songs, and we had a good group of friends, but the late night sessions, it was always me and Carl. Sometimes people banging on the door saying, "We know you're in there," and we just played the guitar and chat about life, and we made a really close bond very quickly. And
Did,
obviously, then I went back in the first term and was telling my brother about this
mhm.
guy that I'd met. And I think, well, at first, everyone knows the story now, but Peter was a bit like, who's this? A bit jealous, and he came down to university to stay with me. And at first, they just didn't get on at all. It was quite funny.
See, like that sort of story. I'm like that as well. See, initially when I meet somebody new, I don't want to I don't want to like them, and
Oh, really?
it's usually like 10 years down the line, and they're like my best pal. So I can totally understand that way of thinking. Obviously, just like going back to like the initial things with Carl. Do you think the bond then? Because obviously he came from like a kind of he came from like a commune background, didn't he? So is that maybe where the kind of bond comes in for with you and him, and then latterly Peter and him?
Yeah, it really could have been. But I think also it's the our way of looking at the world, you know. Um, I mean, in them days, we would sit and talk about all deep kinds of things. I was very disappointed with university because in my head, I imagined it to be people sat round by candlelight, reading poetry and discussing how we were going to start a revolution. And it just wasn't like that at all. I
Mhm.
remember begging people to come with me on the march against the cut in tuition fees that the Conservatives wanted to do at the time.
Mhm.
And no one was interested. And then, of course, Labour got in, and not only did they cut tuition fees, they totally abolished them. So it was always a bit like, what is this? It was a lot of townies, a lot of nightclubbing, and it was a totally different atmosphere that I'd expected. I mean, we had a great time, but in Carl, I found someone that we could just have really deep chats about everything. We'd sit up all night crying and singing songs, and we probably quite a bit morbid sometimes. Like we didn't want to get old and lonely. We were only 18, but you know,
Yeah.
it really kind of yeah, a deep connection, I suppose, from our background, and we probably both felt like fish is out of water in suddenly all this freedom. I think he'd had a very free childhood in some ways, although
Mhm.
his dad was strict too, and I'd really, had a very protected childhood, and it was all just like, whoa, what's this? But we found in each other. Yeah, best pal, really, and we've still got that bond. It's amazing because we don't talk day to day, but whenever I see him, it's like he's really like a brother.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and the bond that he created with Peter as well. It's just the same. It's like we always say that we both fell in love with him, and for me, it wasn't between me and Carl. It was never anything sexual either. It was just like that pure love, like a in Spanish they say flechazo. It's like a boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's more and it's deeper than anything sexual. Then in it, it's kind of there's something more there. It's just a lot stronger, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Like
And
you
it is
say, that kind
beautiful
of
when you meet
brother
someone.
sister relationship.
Yeah. And you can totally be yourself. Like I said, I never felt embarrassed singing in front of him
Hmm.
or, writing silly lyrics together like I'd always done at home with my brother. But I was always very self conscious, and so was he. Um, yeah, I always feel very, very blessed that I met him. I mean, we had a really good group of friends, and I remember we both nearly got kicked out of the halls of residence because one night, me, him, and an Irish fella, Michael Byrne, we were all up on the roof. He was teaching us both to tango. I don't even think he knew how to tango, but we decided to go up there under the moon and tango. And then someone from the other hall of residence had spotted us, uh, told on us. We all got really really bollocked, but the head of the warden, whose name I've forgotten, um, Carl managed to sort it all out for us. I think he arranged to play chess with him every night for a couple of weeks. And we calmed him down. And, you know, Carl's got the gift of the gab, which you probably know.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, then as you say, you kind of Peter came down in the introduction, and look where it kind of look where we're at now, like kind of 20, 25 years on or whatever, and like the progression. So, what like early Libertines days, um, what did you think of the band? How did you think they were going?
I just loved it. I mean, it was raw, pure energy. It was really real. And Peter had only just started playing the guitar and singing, but he saw something in Carl because Peter had always, well, not that he wanted to be a rock and roll star. I think he knew that it was his destiny. It's like, it's something really incredible. I don't know if other people have had this story, but with him, it was just like, this is what he was born to do. And he wanted to do it. And I
Hmm.
think he saw in Carl, right, that's the one that I want to be in a band with. Also, because Carl could play guitar and sing, Peter really couldn't. But that
Hmm.
didn't stop him, you know. From when he picked up a guitar from 16 years old, he never put the thing down. So by the time he was 21, or was he 20, you know, he could play. And I think he learned a lot of Carl, but he always had the gift of being a showman, and his lyrics have always been incredible. So you know, between them, they wrote from the very start fantastic songs, you know, and the energy. I mean, we were all there in the early days in Filthy McNasties and the, you know, the house parties,
Hmm.
and it was just for me, it was like, oh yeah, of course, this was going to happen. It's like, you know, and in the early days with the A&R men in Rough Trade, it was all really exciting, but it was, I suppose, it's that kind of thing that you've got when you're younger. Like, there's no doubt, there's no self doubt.
Hmm.
You know, I never doubted my brother at all, and I never doubted Carl. I know Carl was actually a lot more self conscious, but he's got so much talent, and so much power inside him that it almost didn't matter that his mind didn't believe it, because you know he's just amazing, and the two of them together, like everyone knows, is just it's
Yeah,
just magical. And
and
John was there from the early days, and then they met Gary, you know, not long into the early days either. So
yeah, but well, because obviously you had that kind of the lineup changed a bit at the start. You had like kind of Scarborough Steve or these other people about, and then kind of once it came to the lineup that we've got now, and they started releasing music. If you think about the kind of musical landscape at the time, it's kind of the Libertines and the Strokes were kind of the kick up the arse that music needed, because it
yeah,
was all dead safe when it was kind of it was a lot of kind of like acoustic led kind of bands. You had like Star Sailor, Travis, all that. They were all decent bands, but the music had just got a bit safe. And
a
then
bit boring. Yeah,
all of a
yeah,
sudden you get this kind of punk rock, kind of fast paced stuff back.
yeah,
So that's exactly what the music industry needed. And you had, as well as that, as well as the music, you had the style and you had the intelligence, because they were intelligent.
oh,
Obviously, a
they
lot
are.
of
That's the
songs,
thing. Their lyrics
yeah,
are
there's a
brilliant.
lot of
Yeah.
historical elements to it. There's a lot of poetic elements to it. So, what's your kind of opinion on the kind of musical landscape at that time? Do you agree?
I really do. I mean, yeah, I was more into old kind of funk stuff. We used to go to the WAG a lot, to the
Hmm.
indie nights at the WAG. Um, and yeah, I think you're right that the Libertines was um, a fresh new thing. And what I say to a lot of people that is perhaps different, especially in my band, because you know I started a lot later, and you know a couple of the band members have got jobs and families. But what the Libertines were, they were Libertines. They were living what they were singing, and their lyrics came from what they were living. It's not like, oh, you know, we've got to record an album because the record company says so. It's like, I've got this song in my heart, in my head, you know, and they might have been up all night putting this song together, and then they go and play it. They really lived the life that they were talking about. And
Hmm.
in the end, it kind of nearly killed everybody. But, you know, it was. it's just so honest and so raw. And that's what I think people like Bob Dylan in his early days, all the beatnik poets, they're the reason that they're still popular today and can touch hearts is because they were living what they said. I think, especially nowadays, a lot of the stuff is so synthetic.
Hmm.
It's not true. It's the image that a lot of bands portray is just that. It's an image. Whereas, the Libertines are who they are, and Gary had his own style as well, a different kind of. He was always more into hip hop. I remember sometimes at the end of the Libertines gigs, me and him and another bunch of people would go off to a hip hop club down to Cargo and dance to different types of music. You
Hmm.
know,
And that
uh,
it's funny actually when you look at the Libertines now, and because again, like as we said, with the like there was nothing there, and then there was the Libertines, and then it kind of kick started that, and then probably the last few years the kind of music industries went a bit safe again. But
yeah.
since lockdown, if you look at the bands, there's so many. Like I started this podcast in lockdown, and if you look
All
at the
right.
bands that I've had on, like up and coming bands that are inspired by the Libertines, even maybe inspired back to Oasis. But there is so many bands about now, so it's kind of it's like the next era, the Libertines, but the Libertines are still there and they're rejuvenated for like reforming 2017, and so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I mean,
it's
and
like the
I think
second
that,
cycle.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think, yeah, now more than ever, it's funny because we've got both sides of the thing. Like people can make music using AI but there are a lot of people that want to speak out and are using music, uh, and they're not afraid to say what they think. That
Hmm.
whether that's commercially viable is the other thing because I don't know. I think it's a lot harder now. And like the whole thing about the A&R people that they, right, fellas, we're going to put, here's the money on the table and whatever else on the table. We're going to, send you everywhere. That doesn't happen now. That was the old rock and roll dream. That now I
Yeah,
think it's a lot about algorithms and perhaps you need to, or festivals as well, but perhaps you need to be safer to fit into that. I don't know. I don't know. My
well,
band's so underground that it's hard to,
mm. Well,
you know.
that's the thing. Like the episode, I've got an episode dropping the day with a band of Lilacs, and like looking at their career, like they've just played all the festivals constantly. Like I don't think they get a break all summer,
Oh,
but
oh, good for them.
it's no everybody gets that opportunity. So it's kind of what you make it in it. You need to kind of take your chance, and that's
Yeah.
kind of it's a big I like back in the day you had music contracts getting offered out right, left, and centre. That's not what happens anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And you had people going to gigs to discover new music. I mean, especially in Madrid, people, people go, less people go to gigs. Two, like you said, there's so many bands.
Hmm.
Um, and the music, they call themselves music venues, the little places. They're not even really interested in what kind of music you play. One day it could be a rock and roll band, then it could be something totally different. So there's not, I always say this in interviews. I remember like being 16, 17, and you'd have like the pubs with the room out the back where
Hmm.
you knew that the owner of the pub loved a certain type of music and he'd get new bands in and you'd pay your fiver or whatever and you'd discover new talent and people were interested in that because what did you have? You had the radio or you had live music.
Yeah,
So you'd go out and you'd listen, you'd look for new music. And I don't know if there's that culture anymore.
yeah.
um
It might be a dying breed, but it's
yeah.
it's down to people then like me and yourself to kind of keep kind of pushing on and keep kind of promoting it.
Amen. Yeah, and I think and it sounds a bit romantic and maybe a bit cheesy, but I think especially at the underground level, that's what we're calling people to do. Go out and find new bands. Like it's amazing here. Someone's just sold out. There's a massive center. It's called the Wizink Center, and a huge band has just sold it out for 3 days. A friend of mine was telling me. I've never heard of them,
Right.
but they've obviously got so much money behind them that they're probably on all the radios, all the publicity, and people have the tendency to say, "Oh, right, that's popular. I better go and see that," and they'll pay their €75 to go and see it. But if there's a band around the corner, you know, they
Mm.
won't they won't necessarily make an investment and go and listen. It's all about what I think people are a bit sheep-like, to be honest.
Mm. So how did you end up out in Spain? How did all that come about?
Well, like I said, I was a teacher in them days, and I love working with kids, but I found teaching a bit stressful. That's why I retired early. But my plan was it was a 6-month contract, covering someone's maternity leave, and then I thought it came with they'd help you find a flat and help you give you free Spanish classes. And I thought I'd like to go to Mexico. It's always been my dream, and I lived in El Salvador for a year. And my plan was to go to Mexico after that, but I ended up back in London.
Mhm.
And this time I thought, right, I'll go to Madrid 6 months, get some money saved, learn a bit of Spanish, and then go to Mexico and see what happened. I came over here with my guitar and my rucksack, and I've been here, God, 21 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I retired from teaching, and I think really my life has changed so much that I've like traveled without moving, if you know what I mean. I
Hmm.
never thought that I'd be doing music. I do a lot of stuff for families as well, a lot of musical play groups, and I write children's songs for editorials in English.
Right.
So, I make more money doing the kid stuff, really. But, you know, but also I love it. I think actually they're a really tough crowd because if a kid's not interested, especially babies, they're off. If they're not into it. And I do a lot of acoustic stuff on my own, and we obviously do gigs with the band. So I'm really busy, um, and just enjoying it. If someone had said to me 15 years ago, "You're going to end up playing your music live for people," I would have believed them because I was so shy and self-conscious. Yeah.
Uh, so how did you kind of find the rest of the band? How did the band form?
Well, I started off. It was actually a duo. We were called the Ezra Beats,
Right.
and he's a Scottish fella too, Ross Stewart. He was in the Mardoos, who are just getting back together now.
Yeah, yeah. I was listening to him on a podcast the other day because I'm looking at
Yeah, they
maybe
did.
I'll get in
Yeah.
touch with him to get him on.
Oh, you've got to. He's brilliant. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. He's actually a diamond of a person and really talented musician. And he came to Spain with his partner is they're not married, but to get away from the music world, I think.
Hmm.
Um, they were signed to Pop Tones, and he just thought, well, I'll teach a bit of English. We'll go and live in Spain. And then it turned out that he was working with one of my very best friends. We got together, and he invited me round to his house one night. And after several bottles of wine, I was like, oh, well, I've got some songs. And I played him some of my songs. He was like, well, these are brilliant. And we ended up writing some stuff together. There's stuff on Spotify and on YouTube. And
Hmm.
I did my first gigs with him. His wife had just had a baby, and she said, what Madrid needs is a musical play group. She said, you can play guitar. And she organized it. She was the brains behind it. And I'm still doing it 15 years later. It's really my only steady income is this group called Shake, Rattle and Roll. And it's brilliant. And both of them, I think, it was amazing because Jackie and Ross both kind of pushed me out of the plane into the crazy world of rock and roll. Really, we had some great times, but I was always very conscious about my brother's name. That's why I called myself AmyJo Doh,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to. I don't know. I think because I wasn't very self confident and I didn't want all the attention. I mean, I remember that even MySpace approached us and were like, "Oh, let us work with you," and I just said no to everything. And Ross wasn't bothered because he just wanted to play music for music's sake again. And now I think, oh shit, why didn't I, make more of it? Peter always said to me, oh, don't be ridiculous. The things that people print is a load of rubbish anyway. But I was always a bit more
Yeah. It,
self-conscious. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because it would have been the tabloids would have been all over it. It would have been.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you look at it now, it's completely different. I think everything's kind of turned on its head. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and like, I mean, if you look at Peter now, I think Peter's in the best shape he's ever been. It's 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 brilliant to see. As I say, to Steele, there was a point where we didn't know whether we'd have him, but I think a lot of that was kind of egged on a bit with the press, so I can understand
Oh,
the distrust.
absolutely. Yeah. And he played up to it, a
Mhm.
lot as well. I think that's like I said earlier, the thing about Peter is that he's so transparent. He is who he is. And I mean, we were laughing, about some of the terrible headlines, junkie scumbag, blah blah blah. And as a big sister, and especially, always more conscious about my mom and my dad and my nan, who was alive at the time. It's really awful and heartbreaking, and we had terrible times. But he was just like, "Oh, just mom, don't read the papers." You know, the worst photo with the eyes rolling in his head, and all the terrible things that they wrote. But for one half of it wasn't true,
Mhm.
but when it's your family member, it really is hurtful. And he always used to say to me, do the interview. I got offered so much money that again I wish I'd taken, and he always just said, "Oh, just take the money and tell him, make up some stories." And but I don't know. That's just not me. And the tabloids have been the bane in most famous people's lives. I think.
Yeah.
Thank God the News of the World got closed down.
Well, this is the thing as well. I'm in the middle of editing an episode with Ryan McPhail, who he done the artwork for the View
Oh, right.
Scotland. Um, so he got arrested with Peter and Crazy Mo for the band, and this he told me the story, but this like see the way Peter comes across in the story is completely different for the way it was portrayed in the press.
Yeah.
He just speaks so highly of Peter. I don't want to give too much away because it's going to come out in the episode, but I mean like whenever MD spoke to me about Peter or any of the other Libertines, nothing but praise. So I
Oh,
don't believe anything that's written in the dirty rags because nobody prints
no.
these papers anymore anyway. They're all shut down or their readerships done cut in half or whatever. They're terrible.
Yeah, I mean, they literally do just make it up. It's absolutely incredible. You read some things, it's like, what? If they can't get the facts, and even if they do get the facts, they twist it. But if they can't, they just make it up, and it's unscrupulous, but also it's quite laughable.
Mm.
I
I mean,
think now,
I think it's laughable. I see when I see people reading these things, you're like,
yeah,
why, man? There is so many other places where you can get information. Well, why
yeah,
would you spend? And they're dear now as well. I think they're over
yeah, that's the other
£100.
thing. I think in a way, TikTok and all those kind of platforms have helped get rid of all that rubbish press because now you can just watch stupid videos. And I
Hmm.
think that kind of thing that people want or watch gruesome stuff, it's like the car crash mentality, isn't it? People want a little break from their own misery, so they like to read shit about celebrities. But now you've got all these videos of people making up stuff again on the internet. So it's just easier. So I think that kind of readership can get their fix
Yeah,
somewhere else.
elsewhere, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so kind of back to yourself then. So obviously, kind of like the band then. So obviously, you'd met Ross. So how did the kind of like the rest of the that kind of evolvement happen?
Well, yeah, we met and we started because again, like I told you, I was really shy, really nervous. So we started going to open mics, um, and then we started doing our own gigs. And I think we even played in a few festivals because there was a bit of interest because people found out that I was Peter's sister. So we were in the press and we did quite a few big things. And then they left Madrid, and I was like, oh, don't leave. So then I was addicted to being on stage and playing my songs and writing songs. I just wanted to do that then, you know, and not for fame or fortune, fortunately, because it hasn't happened, but just because I loved it, you know,
Yeah,
and
well,
it really changed
that
me.
kind of shines through speaking to you and your music. You can hear the passion.
Oh wow! Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I do it because I do it, and obviously it's interesting for me because I've seen the rise of what's happened with Peter and Carl, and I've seen the VIP side of it, and then you know our side where sometimes there's not even a what do you call it in English, a camerino, a backstage area, and have to get changed in the toilets. So it's really interesting because it's like, especially at my age as well, and I know a lot of people that started in their teens have stopped playing music when they get to their 40s because they've got families and they need, but for me it's like something that I feel I was born to do, and I just want to do it. And if you can touch hearts and minds, even just one, I know it sounds really cheesy, but I really feel like that. I feel like music is a great therapy, and I noticed that in my groups with the parents and babies. It's quite often more for the parents that
Hmm.
just to sit and sing songs together, and then I have a little bit where you dance and you see people that are first quite uptight, but yourself, like having a dance, having a sing, it's so therapeutic.
Yeah,
And when
totally.
I was like, I don't want to stop doing this, so I started doing my own concerts. I again, because I was still quite shy, I used to do, it was bingo and acoustic, like vermouth gigs, and people just didn't get it. Well, I don't know many people that would get it. And one day a guy behind the bar said to me, he said, why are you hiding behind bingo? He said, your songs are great. He said, I'm a percussionist, let's get together. And then it's a very long story, but from him, the Spangles, we just started growing, and he played percussion. Then we got a keyboard player, then a guitarist, and then it just started getting a bit more serious musically.
Mhm.
I stopped playing the guitar because I'm not definitely not a guitarist. And now we've got the four-piece setup that,
And
yeah, that's great.
are they all foreign?
Matty, who has just become our drummer last year, he's English as well, married to a Spanish woman. Herman is also a DJ. Most of us have got like about five caps.
Hmm.
He's from the Basque country, so he wouldn't say
Oh,
he was Spanish.
brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, a real mix. And David is Spanish, but none of us are from Madrid actually. But we were born here as a band.
Mm.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm fascinated with the Basque country. I'm right into Bilbao, the football team.
Oh, isn't it amazing, their philosophy?
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
love all that.
Have you ever been over here?
No, it'd be a dream to get over there. I'm a Celtic fan,
Right.
so I want to go to Lisbon. Obviously, that's where Celtic won the European Cup,
Oh
and
yeah.
I'd like to go to the back. I'd like to go to Bilbao because they get a good relationship with Celtic and kind of a lot of the same kind of ethos. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am fascinated with that. I'm led to believe the weather's no much better than here, right enough. So
No, it is. It rains a lot. Yeah, it's quite funny. Mind
it
you, it's just rained 3 weeks solid in Madrid.
has it.
I've never had so many days in a row without sun. It really affects you.
So looking at the kind of Instagram, obviously you've like I've been through your Instagram looking at gigs and all that. So you've done kind of a lot of gigs in Europe, like kind of Germany, France, Netherlands, and obviously Spain. So
Yeah.
what's it like kind of gigging around those countries?
Oh, much better. Much better than here. And I think in the UK, like there's a real culture for music. And and the other day, I mean, we were supporting the Libertines, but then on the day off that we had, we went and did a gig in the most amazing little bar that is really fighting to stay open because they've closed a lot of places. And people just came out of interest. They look the band up online. I suppose there's a bit of an interest because I'm Peter's sister, but I don't even think it's that. People come to the gig, they buy the record, they buy the t-shirt, literally, not the book because we haven't got one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's just this culture of people trying to find new music. That the Germans are really into their music, and I mean, like I said, we lived over there, and I've been over a lot to do acoustic gigs, and each like region, like the local authorities, give money every year to put on small little festivals. There's a lot of money invested in art and culture,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really healthy. I don't think it is a European thing because it happens to a degree here, but it's all very closed. You know, you have to be in with the in people,
Right.
and it's very right wing over here. It's a lot of I don't know. We won't get into politics, but yeah, it's very fascist, Madrid.
So like releasing music then. Like obviously your first release 2013 was Shake
Mhm.
It. So how was that then? Like kind of for somebody like yourself to like to actual say, right, I'm going to physically release music into the world. Like obviously, did you lean on Peter for any of the
No, not
experiences?
at all. No, he didn't even know about any of that. No, it was some friends of mine who's a producer, and he said, "Let's record your songs." I was like, "Really? Oh my god! Okay, let's do it." And we just did it ourselves. I haven't even got a copy of the EP actually, because I wrote a song called Museo de Jamón, which is a chain of restaurants here,
Yeah,
and I think I've got a few of my own songs in Spanish actually, and people like the fact that a foreigner is singing in Spanish, and um, we actually presented the EP in the museum. Well, it's not a museum; it's a bar. They call themselves the museum, and it was a dream come true. I even bought a pig suit. I dressed up as a pig, and it was just great. You know,
yeah. Because I mean, that's like looking at the releases. Obviously, there was a gap between 2014 and 2017. What
yeah.
was going on there? What was
Putting the band together. I mean, like I said, it,
just
it
getting it?
was yeah, finding the sound, finding the musicians. There was problems and people fell out. One guitarist left, and then when we had all those songs that are on the album, it's
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, let's record the album. And also it took time because it costs a lot of money to record songs, and
Oh, I know.
in the end, you've got to get the money together. Um, it was it was a slow process, I suppose, but it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And actually having the vinyl was incredible. To have your own music, because I don't have any CDs anymore, and I've got a little vinyl collection. But to have your own music on a vinyl for me was incredible. Yeah,
So we get to 2018. That's when the album came out. I don't know. Carly Day the Spangles. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I don't like to kind of
yeah,
multi.
very good.
Yeah.
Calle the Spangles. Yeah, it means street. It's Spangle Street basically,
Mm-hmm.
and the front cover is a design all over Madrid in the center. They're massive. It's like 3 by 3 tiles, and they're the
Right.
typical street signs. So people from Madrid love the vinyl. Like, oh wow, it's one of the street signs. Um, and yeah, in fact, I think Peter for a Christmas present paid for the 2 days in the studio. So we did everything we could in the studio for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then we did the rest at my friend's house, who's now got his own studio, but he's a fantastic producer and was also our guitar player. So obviously he didn't get any money for that. And we just did extra sessions in his house and tweaked it. It took quite a long time in the end, but um, yeah, it was. I love it. I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, yeah, you should be. As I said to you off mic before we started, like it's criminal to listen to it and think you are no bigger than you are, because
Oh, thank you.
I'm super impressed with it, and it'll be on my. It might make my Spotify rap next year.
Oh, wow. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. So I mean, like getting the album out and then a couple of singles out in 2019. Obviously, then we're coming into kind of COVID and lockdown and all that. Which
Yeah.
so how did COVID affect firstly you personally, obviously in a different country, and kind of how did it affect the band?
Well, yeah, I mean, it really changed everything because we were literally the day that all the bars closed. It was I think it was the 13th of March. It was a Friday, the 13th. And we
Right.
were going to present our new EP, Smile and Dance,
Mm-hmm.
that night. Um, so everything was cancelled. It was quite funny as well because I think some of us had COVID. We had a rehearsal like a few days before, and the guitarist said he had a really bad headache. And me and him had done a gig together, and we'd had a few beers in the sun. So it was like, well, maybe it's just a hangover and you got a bit of heat stroke. Uh,
Yeah.
and the drummer as well was like, oh, I'm not feeling great. And we were all in this tiny little, in rehearsal room, and they weren't feeling great. And then the gig was cancelled, and they were kind of glad. And then it was suddenly COVID, and they were, oh my god, I think we had it, you know. And I'm going to show you my flat now. I've got this door that's like a window,
Mm-hmm.
but I basically live in a ground floor flat with no windows. And I'm a very, I don't know the word for it, but I suppose ADHD is the word that everyone uses now. But I'm always moving. I'm always out and about. So for me to be stuck in here
Mm-hmm.
was a bit of a nightmare. I mean, I was breaking the law a little bit. I was just doing laps around the city with a shopping bag on, just in case when the police stopped me, I just said I was on the way to the supermarket because you were only allowed to go out to go to the supermarket. The lockdown here was very strict.
Mm-hmm.
So I was writing a lot. The drummer left during COVID because he was actually he is a jazz kind of hip hop drummer. Um, and he left, which has changed our sound a lot. And the more punky songs like on the album, like Shut Up and It Is What It Is, I wrote those during COVID. I think there was a lot of angst and a lot of frustration. But what I did here every day for my own sanity and to help a lot of parents, I did a Facebook Live on my kids page,
Mm-hmm. I'm
and I
pretty
did an
sure
hour.
I might have seen one of them.
Oh, you might have done. And then then I did some concerts. We had a Friday sing along,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm going to do another one soon. I mean, it was literally on my laptop, and we created a really nice little community. I mean, I know a lot of musicians put together proper concerts with proper sound and proper, but this was just like basically a sing along, and people would give me requests, and it became a nice little thing to do. People often say, "When are you going to do another one?" I should do, but it was hard. I got burgled 3 times. I had my
Oh,
two laptops stolen. The third time they literally took anything of value. They even took my kettle, you know.
hey, so can't even make a
What?
bloody cup of tea.
I know. Someone sent me one on Amazon. Yeah, that was. Oh, oh, what happened? Sorry, went a bit
No, you're
smaller.
okay.
Um, yeah, that was a bit of a nightmare. But as everything, the good thing was, because I ended up doing these daily sessions. The day I got robbed the third time, I said I'm not doing the session today because I was really upset. I was in a bit of a mess, and one of the mums had a whip round because obviously, I mean, I wasn't working at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was a bit like, how am I going to pay my rent? Um, but I'm a big truster in the universe. I thought, well, that's the least of the worries at the moment. People are dying left, right, and centre. And one of the mums had a whip round thinking she'd get me €100 or something. And I ended up like getting so much money that I bought a secondhand laptop on online. I was able to cover my 2 months rent. And then when I started going to the park again, once we were out of lockdown, parents were coming up to me and saying, "Thank you so much. I want to give you this donation." I mean, it was just mind blowing. Because like I said, I was doing it again for my own sanity to have
Mm-hmm.
something to do every day. But it was
Yeah,
amazing
but
that.
so did you not realise just how much you were helping everybody else? It's brilliant to see that gratitude and kind of
Ah,
beautiful.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, makes my hair stand on end now talking about it because it really. I mean, people would make comments. Oh, thank you so much for today, because a lot of parents were working from home, and here in Madrid, it was 12 weeks that kids couldn't leave the house. You know, they opened the bars here before they opened the parks. Um, it was really hard for people. There was a lot of domestic violence. The repercussions now for
Mhm.
kids is still being seen, and a lot of parents that were working didn't have a choice. They had to be online, so they were able to, put their kids in my session, which lasted about an hour. We'd sing, we'd read stories. I was always dressed up. In fact, I remember Peter phoned me one day. I was just about to do the show, and I was dressed as a unicorn. And I remember him saying to his wife, he's like, "Oh Christ, it's finally happened. She's lost it." I was like, "No, no, I'm all right. I'm a unicorn today." It was really, it was really lovely. But yeah, to feel that I'd actually helped people as well was obviously, just great. It's kind of like, right, you understand what you're there for, really. I feel like even though I don't make money, physically perhaps, you get paid in other ways, don't you?
Yeah,
The universe
yeah.
does
I
that.
mean, and I think sometimes that sort of stuff's worth more
Yeah, you must find it
because
as a podcaster because no
yeah,
one
you
pays
know
you
how
to do
much you're
this.
loved. You know what I mean,
Yeah,
and how much you're appreciated, and sometimes that is worth more than it's something that money can't buy, in it.
exactly. And it doesn't pay the rent, but it's a funny thing the way the universe works, isn't it? It's like suddenly you'll get something that like is a big unexpected surprise. It's like, aha, okay, that's yeah. You have to
Yeah.
sometimes just go with the flow. And I mean, you don't get paid to do this, do you?
No, no. I mean, I think I spoke to you through the messages when we were arranging it, and it's just basically I get to speak to, well, obviously the podcast God Time for Heroes after one of my favourite Libertine songs, and I get to
Yeah.
speak to every guest that I have on. I consider them a hero in some way. So, like,
Oh,
how else would I get speaking to these people? Like, obviously,
yeah.
like some big names, like John Power for Cast. When would I ever get speaking to him? You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yeah,
I'll get
exactly.
speaking to him. So I mean, that's more than money can buy. I get to sit
Yeah.
down for an hour or so and speak to somebody that 99% of people won't get to speak to, and then
Yeah.
you can then edit that up, chop it up, and put it out, and then people can listen to it. And I'm doing something. That's the way I see it, anyway.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, it's like any kind of art, isn't it? It's like what you give, you do get back. It's
Hmm.
the way the world works. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from the podcast, obviously, in the last year, I started managing a band as well. So,
Oh, right.
and I'm able to help the band because of the contacts I've built up through the podcast. So, as so, who knows? Eventually, 20 years time, I might be a big band manager. I might have the biggest band on the planet. Who knows?
Oh, well, keep us in mind if you're getting any festival
Yeah,
connections.
yeah. Still plugging away anyway. Um,
Yeah.
so I like coming out of lockdown. Then obviously
Mm.
you had the Spangles brought some music out, but as well as that, you had some solo stuff. So was that all kind of accumulated during lockdown as well?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And the ex-guitarist Martin, who produced the first album, me and him have worked together on a lot of kids stuff as well. And he's helped. I do voiceovers as well, and he's helped me with a few voiceovers. And he had a little studio in his flat, so I had all these songs that are kind of in Spanglish, and I sent him the recordings from my house,
Hmm.
and he basically put them together, and then I sneaked around and did the vocals, and or I think when then we were allowed out. I can't remember how it all happened, but some of them I haven't put on Spotify yet. I need to do that. Um, Again, it's one of those things like you think, right, well, I'll do it properly. I'll wait till I've got some money. But now with Spotify and the digital things, you think, oh, I'll just do it. I'll just put it out there, and
Yeah,
otherwise these songs get forgotten. You know.
yeah. Because I mean, because you've just had one, you had one released just a couple of months ago. Is it?
Giddy,
Guiri, Guiri.
giddy. Yeah.
I'm so self-conscious about pronouncing them. It's
Oh no, don't.
but
Giddy, which is like a word for foreigner. It's not. I mean, it's not a nasty word, but it's a bit kind of disrespect, not disrespectful, but people love it in the bars. They're kind of like tavern songs, you know. I get everyone to shout "Giddy, giddy, giddy," um, and I mean, I sent him the basic demo and all the instrumentation apart from the guitars are done on the computer. I mean, I think you can tell, but I thought, well, I'll just put it out there. I'd like one day to get like a pig lady band
mhm.
and do all, because these are all the kind of songs that the band don't like to play because I think they're kind of a bit more tongue in cheek, but they're great for little pub gigs that I do on my own, you know. And because it's in Spanglish,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, the Spanish crowd like it. And I've got another one that I'm gonna. In fact, talking to you, I've just remembered I need to put it out. Um, about a funny saying in Madrid. And I've
Look
written
forward to
recently
that.
some songs. Yeah, I've written. There's one called "No a la Tala," which has got an amazing video that someone recorded for me with a drone because
Mm-hmm.
the local council are chopping down all the trees in Madrid to build car parks and basically fill their pockets. So
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a tiny little song just basically shouting no, which I sing at a lot of protests and in a lot of, you know, local gigs. And that song's on Spotify. There's another one
Actually,
about,
just listened to that before I came on.
oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, I had I played it, and then obviously it must have played 3 or 4 times, so I was getting right into
Oh, oh, thank you. That's good for my algorithms. Yeah. And there's another one called What's Happening in the Neighborhood. It's called Que pasa en el barrio. And I made the video myself on YouTube because it's a real problem here, the tourist apartments.
it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm lucky because I still pay low rent here. My landlord's a nice man, and you know he's got an antique shop round the corner. But most of the people are being kicked out, and the rent's gone through the roof in this area. Um, so I wrote a little song about that, and again, my friend recorded it at his house. I did the vocals. They're kind of songs for a purpose, so I just wanted to do it quick. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I play that in the bars because people. In fact, I was doing a gig with the band the other day, and someone said, "Oh, can you play that song about you know about the housing problem?" I said, "No, because the band don't know it. It's my song, and they don't probably don't like it either."
So with the solo stuff, and then back to the band, and last year you brought out the second album, Spangles
Yeah,
India. Now on Peter's label, Strap Originals. So
yeah,
how is that helped? Is that kind of bigged it up a bit, getting on the label? Because Peter kind of, that label kind of, they only seem to put out like stuff that Peter believes in. So it must be kind
yeah.
of a privilege to be on the label.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and they are the nicest team of people.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really talented um, artists and promoters. I mean, the guy Chus who helped me do the fix the design. He's an incredible artist, graffiti artist who is around Margate. Um, and it's amazing to work with all these professionals, you know. And they printed it out for us. Um, yeah, I mean it's been great, but again, they're not a promotion agency and they're not management, so
Mm-hmm.
it's still very much at our level, and I don't think we've made them any money. So it was a real kind of, you know, my brother has always said that he loves my songwriting and you know he believes in the music, and Jai, who's his best mate, you know, they liked the album, and it helps being on their label, of course, but
Yeah.
I think at the ground level, in terms, we've got a booker through them as well who helped us sort out a UK gig, but it's still very much like we have to do the groundwork, you know, and that we're not getting the phone calls to play in festivals. I just think I don't know. I suppose for the ego, it's hard to admit, but I don't think we're what modern society is looking for, perhaps at the moment.
I,
You know, it's not.
I mean, I kind of, I disagree on that because I think you would be an ideal festival band.
I think we're great. Yeah, and that's what the label said, and the booker as well. I feel that live we're a lot more powerful than the recordings because I'm very much. I mean, I will say it, nowadays I can say it. I think I'm a great showwoman, and the energy that we've got on stage uh, is really quite powerful. And I think the songs are very upbeat. It's very party. Um, and I think we'd be great in festivals, but we get ignored annually by especially by all the festivals, and we've got a few small festivals this year actually,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm really excited about. Um, and yeah, the thing is to just keep playing and keep putting, and like you say, who knows what can happen in the future.
Yeah,
I feel
and
like I'm
and that is the thing. Things can change in an instant.
exactly, and yeah, I really feel now I've kind of got my head sorted out. I feel like I'm just starting life. There was the what do you call it, the new moon on Saturday, and a big portal was opened apparently, and it was
Right.
an invitation to leave the old stuff behind. And yeah, I feel like I'm 47, but I feel like now I know myself better than ever. I actually like myself, and I'm excited. You know, I think yeah, what is going to happen? Who knows? Like you say, it can all change in an instant. You know.
So that was kind of my last kind of question. Then would be what's coming next. What have you got anything booked in? Are you looking at writing more stuff? What's going on in that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I've got loads of songs half in my head. At the moment with the band, we're actually quite busy. And like I said, Matty just joined in November. Since he's joined, we've been to the UK, to Germany. Good job his wife is a music fan.
Hmm.
And in fact, the gig we played out of town on Saturday. All her family were there as well. They're great. So at the moment, rehearsals are very much concentrating on getting the sound, the songs that we've got. Um, but we're going to support Peter on some dates in his solo tour. We've got a couple of dates around Spain. We're pretty booked up until about the end of September. We've got we're hoping to come to Scotland actually. We want to
Oh,
do a little tour. Maybe we could speak with you about doing some dates with your band that
yeah,
you're managing.
yeah, man, that would be really good.
Yeah,
We'll
because
look into
last
that.
time we were down south, we'd like to maybe do a gig in Manchester, come up to Scotland. Let's talk about it. That would be great. But I don't know what's going to happen. I don't make plans long term, so I just want to keep playing and spread the word to as many people as possible. To be honest.
Listen, it's a joy to kind of listen to you and your passion for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Likewise, lovely to meet you.
I think that'll definitely you'll get to where you want to be with
Oh,
passion, man. It'll definitely happen.
yeah. I think that's what you've got to have, haven't you? Enthusiasm and joy. I mean, when I left teaching, I really because I used to have that feeling that I think 80% of the world have got, like, oh God, the alarm's gone off. Oh God, it's Sunday night. Tomorrow's work. And I really kind of it's again it sounds really cheesy, but I don't care because it's true. It's like I wanted to wake up every morning and think, thank God it's another day. And I
Yeah.
didn't have that in many of the jobs that I've had. And now I've got much less money, much more time, and I feel my job is to live my life and do what that little bit of power, like what you're doing. Your job is to chat to people, get information out there, spread music. We've all got our little job, and it's no coincidence that what we love doing is what we're good at. It's
Mm.
no coincidence. It's what we were born to do.
This is it.
Whether you're going to be,
I went
go
to
on.
college when I was younger. I went to college and I did media studies and stuff like that. And then I left college and I got a job. I've worked for Royal Mail for 23 years now. And
Wow,
up until lockdown and when I started this was the first time that I'd used any of the skills that I'd learned at college. And you're
wow,
like 20 years on before I bothered to use any of them.
that's amazing, isn't it?
It's nuts. And I mean, the reason that I interview musicians as well is because I can't do it myself. So this is the
Right.
next best thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a big love, it's a big passion. So
Yeah. I mean, the
And
passion is the clue. It's
mhm,
like kids, when we're children, children do what they love, and they don't do what they don't love unless they're really told to, or they're punished if they don't. And that's how we should live. Our passion, whether it's anything, I mean, some people might really enjoy cleaning or cooking or doing whatever, but when you're passionate about it and you do it well, and if they
mhm.
pay you on top of it, it's like, wow, everyone's a winner.
And obviously, like before we go into the heroes, obviously you mentioned how kind of proud Peter is of you.
Yeah.
But what about your parents? Obviously, how do they see you? Obviously they've already got one kid that's like a super rock star, and then you come into the mix as well. So how do they see you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think as you get older as well, things change. I remember perhaps when I left teaching, I think especially my dad was a bit worried, like, well, what are you going to do? Because I think, your parents, they worry for you, don't they?
Hmm.
And I suppose I wasn't the typical, I'm the eldest daughter as well. So I suppose they were learning with me, but I wasn't the typical woman that wanted to settle down and get married. So I was on my own. Then I left my steady job. And I suppose they were worried at first, like, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to survive? And I remember when I said to my dad, I just want to wake up in the morning and feel happy. I can remember my mum, like, her really feeling, oh, great. And I remember my dad looking at me like I had three heads. Um, because they didn't come from very well off backgrounds. And I suppose parents do their best. They get to a certain level economically and they want their kids to have a comfortable life. But now my dad is really proud of me as well. He loves the music. He's really encouraging. And now he says to me, well, as long as you're happy, Aim. It's like, wow, it's so good to hear that. Whereas
Brilliant.
before, I'd be like, oh God, what are they going to say? I've let them down. I was always more conscious of that. Like, you want to make your parents proud as children, don't you? But
Mm,
as you grow up and become an adult yourself, you think, well, I've got to follow my own path. I'm not very good at not being happy.
mm,
And it's always for me what provokes change.
yeah, and that I mean that's like the cattiest film that came out. Was it last year or the year before about Peter? Obviously, the,
Yeah.
see the scene where Peter's on stage and your dad comes on stage there. That
Oh,
honestly, I,
beautiful.
I was watching it in the cinema and I think I had a wee tear because
Oh,
it was just so nice to see that relationship.
yeah. I mean, there wasn't a dry. I was at that gig as well. We supported. We all surprised him. It was quite funny. I
Hmm.
think at the time he was quite embarrassed. But even the sound guy, Ian, who's a Scot as well, he's got a great punk band. Um, he was doing the sound. He's worked with my brother and the Libertines forever. We were all crying. It's like it was such a magical moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful.
he is. He's really proud. He's so proud. They both are. You know,
Mm.
even though maybe he probably wouldn't admit it.
That's brilliant, man. Um,
Yeah,
so the last part of the podcast, obviously, it's good time for heroes. I asked my guests to pick four heroes to come for dinner, why they're your heroes and what you would cook for them. Dead or alive, any aspect of life you want them to be, whatever, just whoever's a hero to yourself. And
yeah.
I say four heroes. I don't limit it to that. I had Gemma from Baby Shambles. I had her on early on,
Oh yeah.
and she ended up. She must have picked about 16 or 17. But then she couldn't nail it down. So,
Wow.
so,
Oh
I, so I'm
God.
not that
Yeah.
strict. So
Well,
just
yeah.
depends.
I'd probably be the same. I'd like to have um, a couple of sittings. I think I'd like you to come along,
Thank you.
definitely, and I'd
That
make you
might be the
some.
first time I've been asked first. Sometimes I'm asked at the end as an afterthought.
No, I'd like you to come along, and I don't know if you're vegetarian, but I'd prepare you a nice tapa, a typical Spanish, some lovely red wine, and some ham on.
Sounds amazing.
and some tapas. And then, I mean, I was thinking about it because my typical, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Stevie Wonder. I'd love to sit down and chat with him. I don't know what I'd make him. I don't know what I'd make him at all, but something very colourful. Like I think, I imagine he's vegetarian. I don't know why, but I'd make like one of those super. I've never made it before. One of those superfood bowls, all full of colours, like a
Hmm.
rainbow salad. And David Bowie, I'd have to have maybe for dessert. But I'd also be really curious to have like. I mean, I'm not religious. I am very spiritual, but I'd love to have Jesus, Buddha, Mother Teresa, Muhammad, and maybe Moses all around.
Right.
Because I'd love to know their interpretation of the modern day take on their religions, especially Jesus and Christianity. Because I
Mm.
think he's been misrepresented by religion. I think that would be very interesting. And Martin Luther King, of course. Um, but yeah, it's hard to know. There's so many low key heroes. Some of the very, very brave people that have just been killed in Gaza.
Mm.
Those
Brilliant.
young, yeah, those young journalists. I mean, these are modern day heroes that I mean, this is one good thing about Instagram that I'm always trying to share and look out for these names, even just to say quietly in your own head, God bless these people, rest in peace. These young people that have been keeping the kids going in these refugee camps. I mean, I don't even know their names, sadly, but um, there's so many of them. I'd like to maybe open a great big soup kitchen and everyone that has died for these causes, or the people that have spoken out and lost their lives, or
Mm.
their jobs, or their families. These are the modern day heroes.
That's brilliant. And that's a brilliant way to end it with a shout out to them because what's going on over there is atrocious, and what we see in the news is only like the tip of the iceberg. It's
Yeah, and
horrible.
I mean, talking about the press are very good at making up lies, but what the modern day TV channels, it's not that they're lying, but they're definitely not telling the whole truth. And it's so sad. I mean, I was saying to a friend the other day, you get a bit sucked in, don't you? Watching all these
Hmm.
reels, and oh my God, I was so depressed. I've got another duo. We do covers with my friend Yvonne, the Pipistrellas, and I turned up to the rehearsal, and I'd been crying. I feel so ashamed to be human.
Yeah.
All this is going on. There's a genocide going on. The International Court of Justice that was set up to stop people like Netanyahu existing has declared him and of course the leader of Hamas have been declared international criminals.
Hmm.
This court set up by our governments, it makes my blood boil,
Yeah.
and everyone's just ignored the ruling. So it makes you think, actually, you know what? There is no free will, free speech. There are no human rights. Let's be honest. They don't really give a shit about human lives unless you're part of their crew, and it's really sad. It's like we don't actually matter, you
No.
know. So
No.
it's more important the underground scene, this level of communication and love, and be nice to your neighbor. And it's almost like we're coming back to small scale because they say we've got a right to vote, but for what they're going to do anyway, regardless of what the
Hmm.
people think. There's
Totally.
demonstrations every week here, and no one really, we can't do anything. It's really sad to admit, but we don't have any say in what goes on in international politics. Anyone who stands up to them is shot down, either literally or very quietly.
Yeah. And it's happening, and that's all across the world now. And
Yeah.
and I mean, we've got 4 years of Donald Trump, which isn't
Oh,
anything at all.
and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I mean, I try not to watch anything, but I caught a clip of an interview, and he'd said the problem with a lot of people today is they've got too much empathy.
That's mental, isn't it? How it's mental how people can say that and think how that's going to come across and still say it.
Yeah, and the scary thing is that, millions of people agree with these people.
Mm.
It's frightening.
For what I'm led to believe, we'll get that Conor McGregor, we'll get him involved as well.
Oh, God. Well,
Absolute
especially
nuts,
this woman, Yvonne Vaughan, who's an incredible singer, she was telling me about him and she said, just watch his body language. It's like that whole nasty, machisto, and he's kind of idolizing people like that. But she said he's got so many followers in Ireland, on the internet. It's scary. Yeah.
It's absolute nuts, man.
Yeah.
But this is us. This is the world we're in, man. You just need the good people to come to the fore.
Yeah, exactly. And all we can do is add to the light in our own environments. And I think, it's also very important and change the world slowly by slowly, but the people around us, spread love in concerts, you spread it on your podcasts. And we'll just keep on doing that.
We'll end it here with that message, man. That's a brilliant way to end it. Thank you very much, AmyJo, for taking time.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure. The world needs more journalists like you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Time for Heroes podcast. If you would like to get in touch, the best way is on the Facebook page, Time for Heroes podcast, or on Instagram at Time for Heroes podcast, or Twitter at Time for Heroes P1, or drop me an email at timeforheroespod@gmail.com. You'll find Time for Heroes on all podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Google and Amazon. Please leave a review where you can, share with others, and more importantly, enjoy.